won't throw you off. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Endress. We're here tonight to share Jacob's story and the wonderful treatment he received at the University of Iowa Hospital Burn Clinic. About 11 months ago, our family was gathering at my parents' house to visit with family in town from Atlanta. All the men had just returned from a beautiful day on the golf course, and the women and children had just come back from the zoo. The kids were running around the backyard, laughing and playing. The sounds of laughter quickly turned into screams of panic. Gotta get through this. I looked out the window, and I saw my mother pulling Jacob out of the backyard fire pit. I ran to Jacob quickly and saw that he had extensive burns on his arm and hand. I later learned that he had backed into the fire pit, fell backwards into the hot coals, and stuck his arm into the coals to try to climb out. As a police officer and a first responder, I realized Jacob needed emergency care. Mary and I loaded Jacob into the van and raced to the nearest emergency room. I contacted the state police and asked where to go for burns. The dispatcher replied, "There is no burn unit in the Quad Cities." Within minutes, we arrived at the ER. Jacob had extensive burns to his arm, his hand, and his buttocks. I remember Jacob asking me if he was going to die. And I felt completely helpless. The ER doctor said he needed to get to Iowa City immediately. He was heavily medicated and loaded an ambulance and headed for the U of I Burn Clinic. Once he arrived, a nurse grabbed Mary and told her to relax, that Jacob was in the best place for his injuries, and that the best doctors in the country would be caring for Jacob. Jacob's wounds needed to be cleaned every day to prevent infection and prepare for skin graft surgery. The hospital provided a young, energetic child life specialist named Lisa to play with Jacob during his burn baths. She helped Jacob take his mind off the painful procedures and maintain a positive attitude that the pain would be over soon. The doctors briefed Mary and I on Jacob's skin graft surgery, answering all our questions and telling us what to expect. A large amount of skin was harvested from his thighs and grafted to his arms, or his arm and bottom. This procedure involved stapling the skin into his arm and bottom. It was a lot of staples, wasn't it, Jacob? The doctors and staff were tremendous in caring for Jacob and us, 24 hours a day while Jacob healed. Because of the pain and Jacob's reaction to morphine, he needed special attention with multiple medications around the clock. All the nurses were absolutely fantastic. It was a difficult 3 days after the surgery, but the staff did their best to keep him upbeat. They even arranged for Jacob to go to the roof of the building and tour the emergency helicopter. That was a good time. After about a week, Jacob was able to go home. We returned every day to see the physical and occupational therapists and to change the dressings. The child life specialists were there every day with new games and toys to make therapy bearable. The therapist pushed Jacob to use his hand, stretch his scars, and even had to help him with walking and running again. They taught us how to care for him at home, and because of their expertise, Jacob now has full use of his elbow, wrist, hand, and fingers again. Jacob pushed himself to get better. Jacob pushed himself to get better and he even played in his last T-ball game. A few weeks later, we received an email about the Kid Captain Contest. It's a new partnership between UI Children's Hospital and the Iowa Hawkeyes. We answered a few questions about Jacob's injuries, his treatment at the hospital, and his winning spirit to make it through this challenging time in his life. Months later, we learned that Jacob won the contest. As one of the winners, Jacob got 4 tickets to an Iowa Hawkeye football game. He received a team jersey. He's wearing it tonight. It says Kid Captain on the back, and he got to take the field before kickoff. It was a fantastic trip, and Jacob was treated like a celebrity the entire day. I can't put into words how grateful we are to the University of Iowa Hospital Burn Clinic. All the doctors, nurses, staff, and volunteers were tremendous. I often think about the life-changing handicap that Jacob could have faced if it wasn't for the standard of care he received in Iowa City. I have no doubt that Jacob will be able to pursue his dreams without restrictions, all because of the University of Iowa Children's Hospital. Thank you.